I love it when a movie shoots outside. Oh boy, and we ate good over the weekend. I'm actually a little stuffed. I couldn't believe how many photos came out from them filming on location. They should have maybe pushed the crowd back a little bit more. Just a ton of reveals for the upcoming Flash movie. And I want to take a moment to give a huge thanks to everyone in the UK and London who flocked to the set to take these pictures for us, including DC World and Anik Ahmed. Anik, you specifically tagged me. I want to tell you that really meant a lot. And now we're going to talk about it. Thanks to Anik and DC World and the many others who were on location. Supergirl, full costume. 1989 Bruce Wayne returns. His car. Oh my God. I have it down later in my notes, but I'll just say it now. That was actually the most beautiful thing on that set. Wow! The Flash ring, Iris West is also back, and Central City. Again, it can't be said enough. Oh boy! I'm going to break it all down. We have a lot of information here. But I'm going to be careful about spoilers because we want to anticipate the movie, not ruin the movie. All right, so let's start with Michael Keaton. And wow, does he look fantastic and super slick back as Bruce Wayne. He looks so good. Even in this small, and by the way, no one does brooding and pensive thinking like Michael Keaton. And that's so Bruce Wayne Batman. We also, by the way, got this picture of him arriving on set, and he looks so happy to be there. And very sharp. Michael Keaton is a snazzy dresser. In fact, he looks so sharp that I got this picture first, and I thought that's how Bruce Wayne was going to look in the movie. But then I saw that he'll be instead wearing this very convincing hairpiece, which makes him look more like his 1989 counterpart. I think it looks good. It's a little bit of almost like a mohawk kind of effect there. I think it's really fantastic. And again, as I said, that car is the most beautiful thing on set. Some of you are car fans, and you pointed out that this is the Mercedes Maybach 6 Coupe. It looks so good. What a commercial for that car. Wow. I've been thinking of maybe leasing a car, and I used to never pay attention to the models of cars in movies. And I was like, why do you guys insist on showcasing cars in movies? I don't get it. But now I pay attention to every single car I see in a movie. And I mean, this is obviously, this would be a luxury purchase, not someone's main car, unless I guess you're Bruce Wayne. But it's a thing of beauty. It's stunning. It's just such a perfect Bruce Wayne car. And now it'll be the Bruce Wayne car, which is pretty neat. Sometimes Hollywood doesn't get super rich right. They just don't get it right. It's just like it's almost there, but it seems still like costuming. But Andy Muschietti and his team, and Michael Keaton, because he knows how to wear it, they know how to do luxury. This is like something out of the Robb Report. The Robb Report's pretty cool, by the way, if you don't know what the Robb Report is. It's actually owned by the same company that owns Deadline and a couple of other publications and Variety as well. All right, so anyway, as I tweeted, I hear this whole scene is towards the end of the film. Let's just say, remember, not a secret, Barry's dad is involved in some problems with the law, and this does look like it's taking place outside of a courthouse, and Barry's wearing a suit, as one often does when going to court. Side note, I think London looks nothing like Central City. I was like, what a weird location to substitute for a Midwestern mid-sized city, which is supposed to seem more like something like Minneapolis. But because of COVID, these productions can't move around a lot. London has, Warner Brothers has, as we all know, because they made a substantial investment in Pinewood there, they have a number of sound stages in the UK. They have a really great operation set up. I hear, for instance, that Aquaman might have to substitute a lot of locations in the UK because they're not going to be able to travel as much maybe as they would have wanted under normal circumstances. So, they have to make London do. And I hear that after the movie goes through post, it will look more like Central City. Now, as I've been reporting, both Supergirl and Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne will be sticking around the DCEU, but Michael Keaton will not be the new Batman. As the trades have reported, he'll be more of an advisory Nick Fury character. Now, I've also heard, as we've discussed, that they were planning, and maybe still are, I haven't heard anything about it recently, to do a Batgirl Beyond storyline with Bruce Wayne, Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne, training her. But maybe, since we made such a big stink about it, they will go with Batman Beyond instead, and have Terry McGinnis as the new Batman. I wouldn't have an all-female Trinity. I think Sasha Calle looks so good that maybe they could do 2 out of 3 women. But I think that having a female Superman and Wonder Woman and then adding Terry McGinnis as the Batman would make everybody totally cool with that. It would be fantastic. So I think, hopefully Warner Brothers will come to their senses and do the official Batman Beyond storyline with Michael Keaton. And everyone would be just so happy. It would be an unusual feeling for us DC fans. But it would be great. What about Robert Pattinson? I hear that movie is its own universe. I think Warner Brothers wasn't sure at first if they were going to maybe have it, because, this is the multiverse they're doing in The Flash, so maybe Robert Pattinson could show up. But I think Warner Brothers has become nervous enough about the darker elements in that movie that, like Joker, it will exist in its own space. That's fine. I think that's the whole point of having the multiverse for DC. And if you want your directors to be able to experiment, that gives, I think, Matt Reeves more freedom. What about Ben Affleck? Well, as Warner Brothers itself revealed, he's in this movie. He's in The Flash. But as I reported before, this is Ben Affleck's goodbye to the DCEU. So he can do it properly, on his own terms. And he'll have some pretty moving moments in the first act. And that's all I'll say. I will talk about the fact, because Andy Muschietti had these quotes when they revealed this, that, he's going to lean into the similarities between Barry Allen and Bruce Wayne, and that they've both lost parents, having that in their past, and, Ben Affleck's Batman is something of a father figure, even though he still has his father, to Barry Allen. And that stuff all sounds really interesting to me. So I'd really like to see that. I don't want it to be too much like Peter Parker and Tony Stark, Peter Parker and Uncle Ben. So I hope that they can walk that fine line and get it right. Because people are already comparing Sasha Calle's suit to Spider-Man. So we don't need too many Spider-Man comparisons. Also, Ezra Miller's Barry Allen will have this longer hairstyle, I hear, for most of the film. And I think that looks really good on him, by the way. And then he'll go back to this shorter Snyder cut for some other sequences. I really think the long hair looks good. I think it complements him very well. It does look very similar to Sasha Calle's haircut, and I bet Ezra Miller makes a joke about that because he's very funny. I think he's good at improv, and I'm glad that the Snyder cut showed that he actually delivered a really good performance for that movie, which was very comedic as well as dramatic, and I think he did a great job. Side note, I also heard from people on set that Ezra Miller made a point of going up to fans who were watching to say hello and sign autographs. And I think that was really great. And I think it was also important for him to be working so hard to repair his image. So fantastic. I've heard you're going to see more of that as the film starts to really take off. I think they're aware that Ezra Miller has a bit of an image problem because of some of the things that have been rumored about him, with grabbing that fan by the neck. And he's going to explain that and take care of it. Okay, next up, Flash Ring. Very comics accurate. As fans of The Flash know, that's where his suit is kept, whereas Clark Kent has it underneath his civilian clothes. That ring seems pretty noticeable to me, so it would make me feel that maybe Barry Allen doesn't have a secret identity in the DCEU. I mean, who in the press wouldn't be like, "What's that on your finger, Barry? It looks a lot like the Flash ring." Maybe they don't. Maybe he just say he's a Flash super fan. We'll see. And yes, it's still the DCEU as far as Warner Brothers is concerned. I don't know how you're going to feel about it. Hopefully you'll come around. But Warner Brothers feels that they are continuing with the DCEU. This is just a multiverse Flashpoint-inspired movie that will allow the studio to massage the DCEU into what they would like to work with going forward because of creative choices and also behind-the-scenes drama. As you can see, Gal Gadot is sticking around, although the fact that they couldn't shoot a new photo for that bus is amazing to me. That is from the first Wonder Woman movie, and I know that because I've used that photo in videos and in thumbnails so much covering Wonder Woman that I feel it's overexposed. So, Gal Gadot, that's her marquee trademark franchise. That's all she's really got right now. And the fact that she couldn't come and shoot a photo for the side of that bus, something new, is just incredible to me. So she's sticking around clearly. Aquaman, The Flash, right? So this movie will likely be clearing the way for a new Batman. I don't think a new Batman's going to be introduced here, to be the current Batman. Again, this Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne will be an advisory character, but they could have a tease. They could. That would be very cool. I would recommend having a tease as an end credit sequence, quite frankly. Terry McGinnis, just someone's like, "Hey, Terry," the audience would go nuts. And I think they're likely going to get rid of Henry Cavill's Superman. You know, I had told you that there was discussions, the trades reported there were discussions of bringing him back. But they haven't panned out, you know, not in a standalone movie, but in cameos. If he can do, you know, just to test the waters, I think with fans and also with Henry Cavill to see if he could work better with the studio. But it hasn't come about. If he's not in Black Adam, it's done, because that's a Dwayne Johnson movie that he stars in and produces. And of course, Dwayne Johnson's ex-wife and business partner, Danny Garcia, is Henry Cavill's manager. So if they can't get him in Black Adam, and I would love to see him there, it's just, he's done. But I haven't heard that Henry Cavill is done. I mean, I haven't heard that he's out for sure. But it does seem that Sasha Calle is stepping up as the new super person, especially since her costume, A, doesn't look like a sidekick costume. It looks like the main event, which is so cool. And B, is so clearly modeled on Henry Cavill's costume. On that note, if she is from Michael Keaton's universe, she could be from a third universe, we'll see. But then both Batman and Superman in that world would be older. And it makes sense, and I think is really cool, that Superman's child would take over his mantle, because he's either retired or, you know, was killed in action. But I think that would be just amazing. I mean, it would be really cool that she would be the Superman to Michael Keaton's Batman, right? I would love to see that. Also, furthermore, speaking of the daughter angle, as many of you pointed out, it does look a lot like the Laura Lane Kent costume from the Injustice video games. That's the daughter of Clark Kent and Lois Lane. They're borrowing a lot from Injustice over from DC movies. And the Injustice games are very popular, so you know the fans are going to like it. There's some history there to make it not seem like a totally new idea, which, you know, a lot of times fans don't like. So I think that it would make sense to at least partially base it on Laura Lane Kent. That's a great name. I love that. And Sasha Calle has a slight resemblance to Cavill. And don't forget that in the Snyder Cut, while it was very subtle, it was revealed that Lois Lane was pregnant. Now, Andy Muschietti was very clear in his announcement of Sasha Calle being cast as Supergirl that Latino representation is important to him. And I think it is. In fact, he's also cast a Latina actress as Barry Allen's mother. But, so you might be like, well, how could it be the daughter of Henry Cavill and Amy Adams if you were going to continue with that Latino representation? Well, it's a different universe. So there could be slight tweaks if they want to have that, not just with the actress they've cast, but have that representation in story. She also bears a resemblance, as people are also pointing out, to Sirel. It's very likely that they might cherry pick from these different versions of Supergirl to create what would kind of be a new character, but again is rooted in the history of DC. And I'm fine with that. I think that would be great, especially because she looks so good. But Sirel, in the comics, Brainiac created her out of a human girl, Mia, by grafting Superman's DNA onto hers, which is why she had a similar look to her. Long story short, when Sirel showed up, she thought she was Superman's daughter, and Superman did too. And in fact, it got him into a little trouble with Lois. But it turned out that she just had fake memories implanted in her by Brainiac. Don't you just hate it when that happens? Classic comic book storyline. Sirel and Laura Lane Kent are not mainstream versions of Supergirl, but they're legitimate ones. But this certainly looks very different from the Supergirl that most people know. I, for instance, hope they call Sasha Calle's version Superwoman, especially because she has such a more powerful costume. That's right, she's less cheerleader, which is how Supergirl has historically looked, and more, well, Superman, which I think is so great. I love it so much. I think the cape looks particularly majestic, and most photos didn't have the cape in it, which is why I think the costume wasn't as well received as it will be when we actually see it in the context of the film. That cape is incredible. It's very powerful. I love that it's not a cute little girl cape. It's just great. I mean, Disney's Frozen was really great, then it went from Disney princesses to Disney queens. And I feel this is the superhero equivalent, going from a Superman princess to a Superman queen. Kryptonian princess to Kryptonian queen. She just looks great. The cape will clearly be added in digitally to the action sequences, which is the norm for these movies. So it'll have that good cape flow, which we all love to see. I think the costume gives Sasha Calle some very clean and beautiful physical lines, which should look great in action. Speaking of action, this pose work by Sasha Calle, and we can see it is her, is amazing. That kind of physical control in movement is very hard to do. So those abs might be fake, but she's very strong to do this. As she's lowered up and down, she really holds the pose, and it's an amazing pose. She looks like she's coming right out of comics and animation and video games. It's really, really cool. I particularly like the boots. I know some of you wanted her to have red boots, but I love that it's a clean blue line all the way down, including bigger, like oversized shoes. Like her foot's a little oversized, which is like, it's very much in the style of how comics are often drawn. It reminds me a little bit of how Joe Madureira used to draw Rogue. I think it looks so great. I think the bottoms of the boots look fantastic, very alien in origin, but also very athletic. I got everything I wanted. When they first revealed the logo online, just the front of the costume and a tight shot of it, I said, I really hope that I have a mock turtleneck here and some thumb holes. And that's exactly what they did. They could sell that shirt. They could sell that shirt, and they should. I would buy it. It would look phenomenal. I know, as I said, the fake abs look a little silly, but this is a rigging suit. It's a rigging suit, so I would not worry about that at all. And I do think that the color red is a little soft, not as vibrant as maybe you would want, but I think they will do color correction in post. So I think it's gonna look great. My only slight problem, if I had to have a problem, it would be that while I love the short hair, which makes perfect sense for someone who flies around a whole lot, because she doesn't want it in her face, it looks a little too wet to me. I think Supergirl has a little too much hair gel, but that's just a nitpick. I think she looks fantastic. Overall, this is not only a new and exciting look for the character, but just as important, if not, the look of a character is extremely important. But Sasha Calle looks like she's doing a fantastic job being that character. I'm really, really impressed. So how does the Flash movie look and its DCU adjustments? How does it look to you? Share your thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.